Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. And so today we do still have Project Pegasus as the featured location, but it doesn't seem to be appearing as often as it was. So with this deck list, we have one card that's a little bit of an extra high roll, but for the most part, this is still the same deck list as if we were running an Ultron list outside of the featured location. And so the last time we ran Ultron, it was about a month ago now, and we didn't have a lot of these combo pieces. And so we didn't have Patriot. It felt pretty inconsistent. It felt good whenever it did work as intended, but a lot of games it just didn't. And so with a couple of the changes to this deck list, we have taken steps to increase that consistency. So the biggest help to the consistency is that we added in an additional 6-cost card, which seems counterintuitive. You're only going to be able to drop one, maybe two 6-cost cards in a game with this deck list. But Dr. Doom is going to be a kind of secondary win condition. If we draw into a Wong Dr. Doom, we can play that instead of the traditional Patriot, Mystique, Onslaught, Ultron play. To be able to push power into those other lanes, we still get the upside. We just don't have it as restrictive of having to have those particular pieces at that particular time. And so running through the deck list really quickly, we have Wasp, who is going to be a cheap token that we can throw onto the board on the last turn. And that could end up being a 7-power token, a 14-power token that could swing a location in our favor, and it's really hard for the opponent to anticipate a 0-cost card coming in on the very last turn. We have Misty Knight, who is just a decent power level 1-cost card. She's going to be a cheap drop into some lane so that we can buff her up just a little bit. Now, most of the time, we may not need to drop her if we draw into like the perfect play of being able to drop our Ultron, because it's just going to end up being one additional power that she offers. And so she's not going to be the most crucial piece, but she is there to help kind of add additional power if we need to. And then we have Forge. We actually didn't start with Forge in our deck list. Instead of Forge, we had the Thing for a higher power token. But with the Wong in this deck list and potentially having the Wong Mystique in the deck list, Forge can be pretty big. You can drop Forge, it can trigger anywhere from 2 to 4 to 8 times depending on what you have in the lane. Then you can drop your Brood, which is going to retain all of those Forge buffs. If it is a 4 times trigger, that is +8. So it's a 30 power Brood between him and his tokens into that lane for 3 power. So it's a huge swing if you draw into it just right, which makes me think it is definitely viable to have Forge into the deck list as another alternative means to push a high amount of power. We have Mystique. At this point, I don't think she needs any introductions. She copies an ongoing ability. Her primary targets are going to be Patriot or Onslaught from this list. And then speaking of Patriot, we have Patriot, who is going to give all of our cards with no abilities +2 power. So that just so happens that the Doom bots don't have abilities. The Ultron bots that generate from Ultron, or the drones, do not have abilities. And so those will be impacted and buffed up by the Patriot, which is what makes this deck list and this deck archetype possible. We have Brood, who is going to be primarily the receiver of the Forge buff if that is the playline that we draw into. And then if not, and we are just in a tough spot, sometimes we can drop Brood so that we have 2 additional tokens to receive our Patriot buff, but that's going to be few and far between. We have Wong. Wong is going to be that secondary path to a win condition. When you drop Wong, your own reveal abilities at that location are going to trigger twice. So that is going to be either our White Tiger, our Dr. Doom, our Forge, are all going to be good recipients to drop into a Wong lane. We have White Tiger, who on reveal is going to add a 7-power Tiger to another location. And so that 7-power Tiger is a token, so it will receive a Patriot buff if we have Patriot on the board. We have Magic, so if we draw into the Ultron play line, which is going to be Patriot and then Mystique to copy Patriot, drop Magic on 5, Onslaught on 6, and then follow up and cap it out with Ultron on 7 as like the ultimate high roll playline, unless we draw into external factors that let us drop an Onslaught early. Magic is going to be the main way that we make that combo possible. We have to have the additional turn to drop 2 6-cost cards onto the board. And so magic is a huge enabler for this kind of high roll combo for this deck list. And then we have Dr. Doom, who on reveal is going to add a 5-power Doom bot to the other locations. This is going to be pretty large if we can hit this with a Wong. It'll add 10 power into the left and the right lane or into the other 2 lanes. And then if we have a Patriot, that's another +4 to each of those lanes. It can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. We have Onslaught. Onslaught is here to make those crazy plays possible. Onslaught is the ultimate high roll card. You can drop Onslaught. If we draw into Project Pegasus, we can drop Onslaught, we can follow that up with a Mystique, and then we can drop our Patriot, and then on the last turn do an Ultron, and then we have something massive like a 50 or 60 power lane in those other 2 locations because of the way that Onslaught and Mystique work in unison together. And then closing out the deck list, we have Ultron. So Ultron is going to create 4 1-power drones at each adjacent location. So he needs to be dropped in the middle location to be able to push that power to the left and the right. And so that is primarily where we will build our Patriot Mystique Onslaught combos, if that is the play line that it looks like we drew into and that we're going to be able to play for that game. And so that is the rundown of the deck list. I am going to go ahead and jump into a few games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so first up we have Captain America, and right off the, oh my lord, have mercy, how awful is this? So right off the bat, they pull into Doc Ock. We initially flip our Mystique, which is, we're not able to copy any ongoing ability with her on reveal ability. So absolutely terrible. And then we pull into our Thing and our Misty Knight. We're just going to have to hope that we draw into our Patriot piece, Magic, and Onslaught as well, so that we can finish pushing a high amount of power into that lane and we can expand it as well. And so we get Project Pegasus as our last location. Ooh, and then we get Brood, which is not a great one. I am just going to go ahead and drop our Dr. Doom. We'll push 5 more power here. It'll finish capping it out. For now, we will end up losing this location, but if we can draw into a Patriot and a Mystique by the end of the game, we could potentially win in Sakaar still. Ooh, and so they have a Wong, and then the double on reveal with Star-Lord. I wonder what else they have that they're going to be pushing power for. So I don't think we drop anything. I don't think we rush the Brood. Rushing the Brood into the Project Pegasus lane seems a little bit rushed. And then they go with the Groot for the double on reveal, and it does not. It of course does not double on reveal. Oh my gosh! Do they have another Guardian of the Galaxy that they're going to throw into the Project Pegasus lane? Because we're still not playing over there, friend. That feels so unfortunate. All right, and so they're thinking it through this time. They're not going to be fooled again. Ooh, Red Skull is kind of spicy there, right? So we do have the Patriot. We can also do, we can do our White Tiger, but it's going to be 3, 6, 9. Dang, that power's fine. We could do 7 power in our Ultron here, which will push the 9. This would just push a 7. This would just push 1 9. At least we get the 7 power here. We can also throw Wasp into this lane. That'll get the Patriot buff and it will get the Red Skull buff. And so maybe that will be enough to squeak it out for us. Oh, the Magneto is super unfortunate. We will push some more power into the left lane with our Ultron, but it's just super unfortunate that I don't think we're going to win in the Project Pegasus lane. Maybe we can get lucky, and we do. We get lucky and we hold down the Atlantis location. And by pushing the additional drones into Sakaar, we lock that one down as well. Oh my gosh. So many cards got pulled over into the Project Pegasus lane, and we still almost won it had it not been for the Mystique right off. So even with a rough start, we have the backup plan, and that is what this deck is designed to do. Have the backup plan so that we can have multiple paths to that ultimate destination. And so we are going to go ahead and jump into another one. But if you guys are here and you're not subscribed, we're doing daily Marvel Snap content, and that's not going away anytime soon. So if you're enjoying it, you might as well subscribe. And we are almost up to 3,000, so your subscription could help us hit that very next milestone. All right, so next up we have Abound Farming, which sounds like a bot. Pretty suspect. But in our starting hand, we do have a Patriot Mystique. We also have Wong, so if we want to drop Wong and then double trigger our Dr. Doom, we can. That'll send 10 power into those lanes, and then we could copy it. We could even do a Wong and then a Mystique to trigger it 4 times, which will send 20 power into those lanes. And then we can increase each of them. Maybe we do that, right? We're going to have to get lucky and draw into it. A version of this deck list that I've seen does run Forge. I subbed Forge out for a higher power card since we do have Project Pegasus that's going to help us high roll a little bit. But I think Forge may still have a spot, because imagine this triggering 4 times. That's going to be plus 8 power to whatever we drop. And so let's say it's a Brood. That is plus 8 to each of those tokens. That is huge. So I may have been a little bit too hasty in my assessment of that piece of the combo. So I am going to go ahead and drop our Patriot. And then we're just going to play Magic. We're just going to stall and try to expand the game until we draw into our Dr. Doom and can play our Dr. Doom. So we have 5 cards left, and there is the Dr. Doom. So it is kind of rough to see them getting a buff every single turn in Muir Island. So maybe we drop our Magic there. That's going to hurt us with 7 power, but I think it might be worthwhile just to stop this combo from happening. No, I'm just gonna let it go. We are gonna go ahead and pass one more time, and then all of a sudden all of these empty lanes are going to fill up. And this is unfortunately a bot, but I think we let this one play out regardless. Yeah, and so then they have the turn 6 or turn 5 sometimes snap when they're ahead by more than 1 lane, or at least by 2 lanes. But I think we will go ahead and do the Dr. Doom, send the bots to the left and right. I don't know that it wins over here, but it is our best shot at a chance for winning. With the Gamora, we definitely don't win Project Pegasus. Maybe we can get lucky and win Muir Island, because I think it is 28 power after all of the tokens come through. And so 28 power left, 28 power right, and then we get the 4 power bonus as well. Yeah, so we win the left and the right lane with a last turn Dr. Doom. And normally I don't show too many bot games, but this shows one of the paths to victory with the deck list. And I think it marks a pivotal decision that we have made, in that we are going to take the Thing out of this deck. He just doesn't serve us very well, and then we are going to add back in Forge. I think with the high roll, I'm okay with White Tiger. We're not going to get to use it very often, but if we do run to a scenario where we need to trigger it 4 times and we have the Wong Mystique, then we can do that. But let's go ahead and take out the Thing and add in Forge. That's going to be able to enable some pretty big power pushes. It's going to potentially make Brood a game winner in and of itself. All right, so starting off, we do have both our Patriot and our Ultron. So at the very least, we're going to be able to have 3 power bots in the left and right lane. Not huge, but it is better than nothing, depending on what this location is. So it's Kamar Taj. So that's going to allow us to do some kind of cool things with our White Tiger. Maybe we end up not needing the Ultron here. We're going to pass. If we get a Wong, we definitely play that into Kamar Taj, because that would end up being 4 times trigger for our own reveal, which is just massive. And then we do draw into Mystique. So maybe we do something like a Patriot, a Mystique. We could even do a White Tiger or a Dr. Doom, or even Ultron. Honestly, would be just fine. Okay, and so they do Mr. Fantastic. We will, talk about high roll. So next turn, we are going to be able to do our Onslaught. That'll leave turn 6 for us to do Mystique and then something else. I think that was almost real bad. We were going to go with White Tiger, but that could potentially ruin our extra energy here, which we are going to end up needing. So I am going to go with the Misty Knight into New York, and then we're just going to pass for now. If they have a Rogue and they steal our Patriot, that's really, really bad. Ooh, and so they extend the game by 1 turn, which is really, really good. So now we're going to be able to drop Onslaught. We'll be able to copy it with Mystique, and we can still trigger the White Tiger if we want to. We can re-trigger. We can do Ultron, and so they snap. They have initiative here, so do they end up stealing with Rogue this ability? Oh, they don't. No, they have Onslaught of their own. Ooh, interesting. So are they running an Omega Red? If they run Omega Red, they beat us here for sure. And so this will leave room for our Ultron next turn, or a double trigger of White Tiger, but I think the Ultron is going to be better because of the way that our Patriot Onslaught Mystique is going to work. I don't think we need our Brood. I think Ultron's going to be the better play, just waiting it out and then dropping Ultron on this last turn. And so now they have Iron Man as well. So if they have an Omega Red, that's going to push something like 30-something power into the left and the right location. I think it's 32. And then Mr. Fantastic will push additional power there as well, won't it? No, it won't be 32 because it's not the Mystique version of Onslaught. Okay, so maybe we don't have to worry as much. So each token is 18 power. So it's our Ultron bots are going to be 17 power units. So we're going to go ahead and just lock in the Ultron. I think we just worry about the left and right lane. I think no matter what they drop here, as long as it's not an Enchantress, but that would kind of hurt their own endeavors quite a bit, then we should be pretty good here. So they do have the Omega Red. They will trigger that ability. He'll slap the left and right lane, but that only adds a small portion. Ooh, and then their Shang-Chi does reveal. But we know that we're going to turn after that. And so we're going to add it right back, almost just as powerful. With our Ultron bots, there are going to be 8 17 power bots that come out onto the board for a total of 68 power in both the left and right lane. They're just not like, they high rolled, and we just high rolled just a little bit higher. Next up we have Scraps, and in our starting hand we don't have anything just great. Now it is definitely looking better. We have both the Onslaught and the Mystique. All we would have to draw into at this point is either a Wong or a Patriot, and we'll be able to do some incredible things. So I am going to go ahead and drop our Patriot now. That is going to, even if we end up skipping next turn, that is going to allow us to drop our Onslaught on 6, our Mystique on 7. Ooh, that doesn't work with... Okay, so maybe we don't go for the ultimate high roll here. I think we probably need to copy Patriot with Mystique, just with the way that our energy is going to end up working. So if we draw into Magic, in addition to that, if we are able to draw into Ultron, and those are both big ifs, then we'd be able to play all of our pieces or combo pieces out. If not, then it's going to be a little high roll for us. Since we didn't draw into Pegasus, the Project Pegasus location, so there is Dr. Doom. Maybe we don't go for the Onslaught high roll. Maybe we go for the Wong into the Dr. Doom, which will send 10 power here and 10 power here, both of which will be buffed up by 4. It's going to be 18 power and 18 power, which is a somewhat decent push. But they do have a Mr. Negative, so they have the potential to extend the game. If they're playing heads up, they probably shouldn't extend the game, just knowing how much high roll potential we have. But we, of course, will hope that they do. So it comes down to a read. Do we think they're going to extend the game with Magic either this turn or next turn? I'm going to say that they don't, or if they do, it is at the end of turn 6. And so we would go into that blind. And so let's go ahead and drop our Wong. They steal one of our bonuses with their Rogue, which is unfortunate, but that does leave them with a pretty small location here. And then we did end up drawing into Magic, but that doesn't help us too terribly much. So is Dr. Doom still the play here? I think we probably still have to do it, right? It's only going to be 14 power and 14 power. So our odds of winning are much, much lower. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So is Angela 5 though? So 5, 6, 7, 8. So Angela's 5 power. This will at least give us an additional 3. So that's going to put us at 10 and then 13. Oh, we're going to be one shy of beating the Angela. Do we do Dr. Doom here? Feels super weird to forego the Wong, but that will give us a 7 power push in Monster Metropolis, which will take away their bonus. It will win us the middle location. And so it doesn't look like, ooh, they do go ahead and extend the game, which is great for us because they have 10 power here. At most they can do an inverted Iron Man, which is still a huge power push for them. But We are able to steal away Monster Metropolis, so now if we can make something else happen, that would be phenomenal. So we can do a White Tiger that will push power here. We can do a Forge. We can't do a Forge. Where do we think we need to compete? So maybe we do our White Tiger here, we do Forge over here, and then we drop our Wasp. And Wasp is going to be able to be played into the Crimson Cosmos because she is not a 1, 2, or 3 cost card. She is actually a 0 cost card. And so we can play her here. It just now at this point comes down to where are they going to push their power. I think they probably do a big power push here with an Iron Man. I think we should have reversed it even without seeing this play out. I think we should have flipped it. This is probably an Iron Man and then a Mystique, right?
Iron Man.
And so, ooh, we actually come up over them in the Crimson Cosmos lane. No way.
Victory.
So the Wasp and the Forge into the Wasp. Oh my gosh, what a weird path to victory. The fact that we decided to play Dr. Doom into the left lane instead of mid to push those power tokens to the left and right, which I guess that would have been 14 and 14. We would have been able to come up over it here. This one would have already been 20. So even if we had done Dr. Doom here, we probably at that point could have won the left and the right lane, but we didn't know that for sure. And I don't know which path was technically would be more correct, but I did know that dropping it this way would win us at least one, and then we just had to figure out how to win the other from there. All right, next up we have Poruban, and with the first location, this may end up being a Dr. Doom style game. So what we can do is do a Wong into Kamar Taj. I think we're going to pass for now. We could do a Wong. If we're able to do a Mystique there as well, that would end up being, what, 8 triggers? All we need is the Wong in this lane, and we'll be able to fill up this location because Wong will allow it to go twice, Kamar Taj will allow it to go 4 times. So we're going to be able to cap out this location with just these 2 cards. And so from there, we could do like a Forge to buff up the Dr. Doom to give us a better chance of winning this lane. We could do a Patriot, which would allow us to do better things here and here. But I think we just kind of play it by ear for now and see what we draw. Ooh, that's beautiful. So we are going to go with the Wong play here. And I hope this is not the Wong decision. We're going to go with Wong early. Ooh, they go with Warpath. I sure hope that they do not have a Professor X and that they're running like an ongoing style deck. Because if they do, they essentially completely shut us down here. Because we are going to need that turn 6 play in Kamar Taj. Let's go ahead and drop Forge for the quadruple trigger of his bonus. So at the very least, we can get that. We can guarantee that we will get that. Or, so maybe we do Forge and then a quadruple trigger onto Patriot so that we can try to keep the upside in Kamar Taj even if they decide to lock it down. Let's go ahead and go with that. So an Iron Man into Murder World. Interesting. Okay. So they're going to have a pretty big power push over here, but they only have one more turn. Like, this is not like very good cards. Like, they're playing on curve 3, 4, 5, but there's just not a lot of resources out onto the board for them. And so we could do an Ultron, but being able to push 5 power bots and then let them be buffed up is much more beneficial since we have the Wong and the Kamar Taj out on the board. And so we don't even need to drop Wasp here. Let's go ahead. I would snap because we are very, very confident at this point. We're going to push 28 power into both. Aw, I didn't even snap. But we would push 28 power here and here. And then we'd push a little bit extra into Kamar Taj, so they'd have to push out an obscene, a ludicrous amount of power on that final turn to win. All right, next up we have WoW Scout 1121, which seems kind of suspect. That is very likely a bot, but we are going to play it out anyways. We do have the upside of being able to push cards into Death's Domain with either an Ultron or a Dr. Doom. And then we do have our Mystique, so we're going to be able to make this a 4 times trigger. And so if we can draw into our Patriot now, that would complete just everything that we need. That would give us the complete package. Ooh, actually, now we don't even need Mystique to trigger or to copy the Wong's ability. We can do Wong, and then we'll also be able to do Forge into Camartage to buff up whatever we drop there, to try and push some additional power. Ooh, Iceman's actually really, really tough for us. It does hit Forge, which I don't like, and then Wasp, so Wasp is no longer free. Ooh, we do draw into our Patriot though, so we're gonna be able to do Wong. We can go ahead and do like a Forge, or we can do Wong and then Patriot and then Forge. But let's go ahead and lock in the Wong, and then depending on what they drop here, so they are gonna, looks like they're gonna cap out this location pretty early on, but that's okay for us. That's not terrible. We can go ahead and do the, well, we can't do both anymore, can we? Because they did interrupt that play potential, we're not able to do the Forge, which is a pretty good power push for us had we been able to drop it into Camartage. So pretty unfortunate, actually. And I think, I don't know that we even do the Wasp here. I don't think we do the Wasp anywhere, because we're going to be able to push 4 Doombots into the left and middle location with our Dr. Doom, so I don't think it's even worth it to drop a 1 power card. And so they are pushing to win in Camartage, which is fine. We absolutely don't need that win. We can do our Dr. Doom. We can fill these up with 28 power lanes, which I think will be enough to win, unless they just have a massive power push. And I do believe this is a bot, so I'm not going to snap back, but I do think we're going to be able to turn this around on the bot. Okay, and so they have an Onslaught, which does guarantee that they win the Camartage, but we are going to far exceed their power level in Death's Domain and in Tinker's Workshop. We're going to have so many Doombots come out onto the board, and I think with the way that we've been drawing into our cards, Doombot has been more consistent for us, but there are going to be games where a Patriot, Mystique, Onslaught, Ultron is going to be more consistent. You just have to hit the high roll of having all of those cards in hand at the right time. Dr. Doom is going to be a little bit more versatile for us. But with that, I am going to go ahead and end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and a comment down below. It really does help me out. It helps me know that you are enjoying the content, and it helps the content get pushed to a wider audience so that they can enjoy it as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.